Welcome back to Unexpected QTH. In this episode, I want to just cover an inexpensive Chinese radio that I think is a great place to start if you're new into the hobby. Now, when I got into the hobby, I didn't know any other amateur radio operators in my area. And so I studied and I got my technician's license and met a couple of other amateur radio operators, but really I was just on my own. And so I started shopping around for radio equipment and had a little bit of sticker shock until I searched on eBay and I found a brand of radios that seemed to be too good to be true. And that was called Baofeng. And I can't remember what I paid for my first unit, but it was a tolerable expense. So I already owned a few of the family radio service radios, and I had used those a little bit for communication with my family and small events that we worked. And these radios were actually priced cheaper than a lot of those radios that you could buy like at Walmart, which don't require an FCC license. Just so you know, to buy one of these radios, a Baofeng, you have to have an amateur radio license to operate them. You can turn it on and listen all that you want, but as soon as you press the push to talk key and start broadcasting, if you don't have a license, you're in violation of the law. So I've met a lot of people who were selling these at gun shows and different things, sort of as a emergency communication device, which they are wonderful for that, but they do require a license. What's going to happen to you if you operate without a license? Probably nothing. You're gonna the main people that are gonna be talking to you about it are going to be other licensed amateurs that happen to see you operating that radio. If you get on the actual amateur radio repeaters, you'll get a lot more feedback. Do not broadcast on it unless you do have a license. But I'd like to show you the radio that kind of started it all for me. This is the Baofeng UV5R. I just got one of these for free from Radioddity when I bought my HF radio, which the Xiegu G90, which is an incredible radio. I did a little bit of a video on that last time when I was talking about antenna options. It's been a fantastic rig, very inexpensive for what you're getting. And it's right along the lines with the Baofeng. So if you're thinking when you see a Baofeng, this is too good to be true because of the cost, I just want to tell you, I've had really good experience with these radios. So I'll give you a little overview of kind of my opinion and experience with Baofeng radios. And then I just want to show you how to program a repeater. I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to do it manually. That can be really overwhelming when you're new to the hobby. There's a lot of stuff that your knowledge, you kind of grow into it. But when you've just maybe just passed your technician license and you're trying to get on the air, a lot of this can be pretty overwhelming, especially if you don't have a good ham club in the area. But I will tell you that if you go to your local ham club and ask them about what's the best radio to buy, that's about the same thing as asking somebody what's the best pickup truck, what's the best car, what's the best motorcycle. Everybody has their preference, but mostly what it is what people have good experiences with. So if you're talking to someone who has never used one of these cheap Chinese radios, they're probably going to have a terrible opinion of them. But if you talk to someone who has actually used them, they'll be able to give you the pros and cons before you step forward. So I hope you find this helpful. We just start with a simple search, Baofeng, and quite a few options come up right away. The one that I think is sort of what most of us who've known about this brand for a long time, that we are the most familiar with, is the UV5R. And it's available from numerous sources. All of this is in Polish. I'm in Poland, so it always wants to show me that. But you can see from many different vendors this is available. The one that I have, I actually got free from Radioddity because I bought my Xiegu G90 and some other things, and so they sent me an offer for a free Baofeng, and I'm not sure what it is because it's branded as a GT5R, so I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. If we go to Radioddity, I think I spelled it right. Go to Radioddity, and you can see they have quite a few here. This is a good company. I had a great experience with them buying here in Poland. My radio ended up shipped out of Germany, and my Xiegu G90, that was a pretty big offer, several $100s. It got here in 3 days, including the order day, and then they sent me the opportunity to have a free Baofeng radio. So if we go to handheld radios, you can see they have quite a few listed here. So I'm not seeing I'm not sure why my radio is branded a GT5R. I'm not seeing it. But my favorite radio, the Baofeng that I started with, are actually these UV82s. I really like them because they have dual push to talk, and you get used to it, but you don't have to switch between the top frequency or the low frequency. You just have to push that corresponding button. Here's the earpiece. You can see it has the dual push to talk as well. It's a great feature, but it does limit you on accessories. You have to buy a microphone that is set up for this radio so that it has the dual push to talk. I think a Baofeng programming cable worked on this radio. I don't recall having to buy a separate one. But as you can see, these radios are very affordable. So the UV82 is coming in at 110 Zwolte. So you would divide that by 4, which I think is about $26, $27, somewhere right in there for a radio that has functioned very well for me. I never had any trouble with this radio. The UV5R, I didn't like it as much because of the single push to talk. And back in the day when I was getting to know Baofeng, these they really looked, they kind of had a really cheap look and feel to them. I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes they came in red. I think they even made a yellow one so you could have ketchup and mustard radios. And they really looked cheap and almost like a toy. It could be that I've just gotten used to them over the years. But this is what I've always wanted to buy was the now there it is. Okay. So now this is branded GT5R, and I see it up here too. So I'm not sure. It says it's the upgraded legal version of the UV5R. I would have to do some research on that. I'm not sure what it is, but Baofeng has a pretty good extensive line of radios, and I think they have sort of set the standard as far as cheap Chinese radios go. I saw someone commenting in a video about batteries and what you can use for power, the safe kind of lithium batteries. And so they were commenting on the cost of what that would take to get you set up, and the jump was pretty extreme. But then they made this statement. They had sort of an off-brand battery that still performed well, and their words were, "This is like the Baofeng of this type of battery." And what they meant by that is it wasn't a well-known name, but the performance and the quality were there. And I was very surprised, very nervous when I bought my first Baofeng, but very surprised to find out how good the radios are. And what I love about them, a lot of people in my ham clubs and my groups, they would have their handheld radios, and they would be talking to me about their radio, and they would say what they had paid for it, and oftentimes they had paid, $200 or better for their handheld radio, and it had a brand name that was unbeatable. A lot of guys had ICOMs. I saw Kenwoods, and beautiful radios. I would never argue with their quality or their value. I just couldn't get my head wrapped around paying that kind of price when for under $30 I could have a very functional dual band handheld radio. Radioddity sent me this Baofeng GT5R for free because I had purchased some other products from them. I did have to pay $12.95 shipping. So this radio cost me $13, and it works very well. I've not had problems using these radios in the past. I searched for repeaters in Poland, and that took me to repeaterbook.com. And it says that there are 77 repeaters found in Poland. Now, what I would be doing with this list is I would be looking for repeaters in my area. I'm not too far outside of Warsaw, so that's what I'm looking for is Warsaw. And here's this one right here that this is going to be the information that I will program the radio off of. So I will now show you how to manually program a Baofeng UV5R, and then I'll show you how to do it with the computer. Okay, so here's the Baofeng GT5R, and the programming is not very complicated once you understand what's going on. So I'm going to use that information we just got off of the internet. And so here is it's given me the frequencies that we are on, and to program it I just need to hit the menu button, and then we're going to just scroll through until we get to what we need. So that's transmitting on high. Vox is off. So this is the tone that we're going to need to be able to transmit and wake up the repeater. So this is the receive side. Okay, this would be the receive tone, and our information says that this is 127.3. So we're going to hit menu twice, and then we'll scroll through this, and it will give us the options. So there we just keep going till it gets to the correct tone, and there we have 127.3. So then we hit menu again, and now that's saved. Okay, so if we go back up to, if we keep going, now we're going to get to transmit tone, and we need to transmit the same tone, which that's on. Okay, and now we can exit, and if we enter in our frequency, which is 145,750, so we'll do this 145,750. Okay, so this is the offset. The repeater you hear on one frequency. So what you listen on is the 145,750, but the transmit frequency, there's a 6 megahertz, a 0.6 megahertz offset. So we're going to do our offset here, which is 0.00600. We'll hit menu again, and then we have to set the direction. So this is minus, so we could go plus or minus, and we hit menu again, and we'll go up, I think 2, and we are going to save this as memory channel 0, I believe. So that should be saved in there now. So we'll go and see if we are good. I believe that we are set up to where we will be able to talk on this repeater. Okay, so now we have the radio programmed, and I'm going to try broadcasting. This will be the first time broadcasting with this radio, and I do have some other handhelds already programmed. I'll show you those. Those are going to be in a different video, but what I hear on this repeater quite a bit is the repeater being tripped, and that can be just from somebody hitting the push to talk button and letting go, and if the radio's programmed right, that will wake the repeater up, and it will just transmit that brief key up. But the right thing to do is, if you're going to test your radio, see how it is, you should at least give your call sign. That's required, that whenever you broadcast, that you identify who you are. I believe you have to repeat your call sign once every 10 minutes when you're broadcasting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just key the radio up, and I'm going to say my call sign but I have to use a prefix, which is SP, which is going to be Sierra Papa slant KD0HIY. And that's the prefix I have to use while I'm operating in Poland with my American license. So I'm going to key up and just give my call sign and see if we programmed it right. You will hear the repeater cycle on after I've quit broadcasting. Sierra Papa / Kilo Delta Zero Hotel India Yankee testing. And that means that we programmed this radio correctly. There was another opening of the repeater that you just heard. I thought someone might answer my call, but I haven't heard any English speakers on this repeater, so they might not understand what I just said. But that's it for manually programming the Baofeng UV 5R or the GT5R in this case. It's not that difficult. There are a ton of menu options, but those that I showed you, those were the main ones that you need to do. Now I'll show you how to do it with the programming cable. I bought some radios. I covered it earlier in a video, but these are called, these are Quansheng. I'd never known what these were before, but they are suspiciously called a UV5R Plus. And so I thought that somehow they were maybe just kind of the same radio and a little bit different package, but this one is very different. But I did buy with one of those radios, I did buy a programming cable, and this will change your life right here. So all that this programming cable does, it plugs into your radio. Right here is a where you can put in your a handheld microphone so that you can operate with a push to talk. This programming cable plugs into that, and that serves as a data connection for your transceiver. So on the other end of this is a USB cable, and with that I can program this radio with some free software called Chirp, and it is really useful to change that. So I'm gonna show you a couple tricks and then how to use the Chirp software. Okay, so I have plugged the programming cable into the computer, and I've opened the Chirp software. You can see the title there, Chirp, and you can download this. Just search for it on the internet. You'll be able to find it. But I'm going to go straight to radio, and then I'm going to say download from radio. And this is just so I can put that data that's already in the radio. I can do that. Now, I have found in all my dealings that this software wants to talk to the radio on COM6. Here I've entered that I have a Baofeng, and it's the UV5R, even though there is a slight branding difference. So I'm going to hit OK. I like all of that. And then it's going to give me some warnings about radio manufacturer and that. I'm going to proceed. Then here are these instructions. So I've got the radio off, and then the data cable has been connected. Make sure it's firmly seated. Then I'm going to turn the radio on, and it's going to tell me to turn the volume up. Make sure I'm on a frequency that doesn't have any traffic. Then I'm just going to hit OK, and we are now cloning this radio. There are lights flashing on the Baofeng that you can't see because it's off camera. But we have cloned the radio, and if you'll notice anything up here, I've got, there's the channel that I programmed. All this other stuff just came from the factory. I could blank all of that out. There's no need for it. But here's what's kind of nice with this. It's in memory location 0. We did that. But now I can name this. So I'm just going to call this Warsaw. I don't remember the call sign of the repeater. That would be the normal thing. But there it is. There's the offset. It's on the minus. Here's the tone. There they're calling it a tone squelch, but I've got that. So now I've made that change to the radio. But I could go through and go to repeater book and get the entire list, and it's much easier just to type everything in here into Chirp. And then when you've made your changes, you can do a couple things. One, I can now save this as a Chirp file. So I could plug any UV5R into this computer and use that file to program the radio, which is very helpful. Now, if you need to go to a different radio, you can do some cutting and pasting and different things and still use some shortcuts. But it's very, very good tool. This is an incredible tool to use. I don't know where my channel name went. I must have done something wrong. So there. Now that would be saved in there. So anyway, when I want to upload that to the radio, then I had download from radio. Now I'm going to upload to radio, and it's going to be the same sort of process. So here we are, same thing. This time it's telling the same information, and we're going to see how it works. Yes. And again, the lights are flashing on the radio, so my radio is now receiving all of that information. This is an incredible tool. So I'm not going to show you on the radio, but what the only difference that I made with uploading right now, all that data was already in the radio, is just now this radio, that channel has a name, and that's an option. I could have it display the name instead of the frequency. Anyway, it is just that simple. So I hope that information was helpful to you. I would encourage you, if you're wanting to get into amateur radio and you're on a budget, don't be afraid to get a Baofeng. I think the key with ordering Chinese merchandise is making sure that it's a seller that you know, and or that you can get to know and find out if they're trustworthy. They're gonna make sure, they're gonna want to make sure that you are a return customer over and over. So don't be afraid to venture out. Worst case scenario, these Quanshang, which I have no experience with. I've messed with them a little bit. They programmed well. They're supposed to have a lot of features that the Baofeng does not. These Quanshang radios, I'm into all of them for less than $20 a piece. So the worst thing that happens to me, and one of the reasons that I like these cheaper radios, is if I'm dissatisfied, or if I drop it in a lake and I ruin the thing, I've only got to spend another $20 to get back on the air. So anyway, I hope that that was somehow useful to you, and I just encourage you, if you're curious about ham radio, do some reading, do some research, start studying, get your technician's license, and you can be on the air pretty quickly with this 2-meter, 70 centimeter handheld from Baofeng, which is a good quality unit. There's a lot of other radios out there at different price points all along the way. This one is really tried and true. It's one that I would recommend. Hey, this is KD0HIY. I'll be signing off for now from Unexpected QTH 7-3. I hope that you have a great day, and maybe we'll hear you on the air. Bye.